So what we're going to be looking at in this video is we're going to be looking at creating polygons. So these are the foundation of anything that you're going to build. You're going to build a primitive polygon. And a primitive polygon is just a simple shape, a cylinder, a cube, a rectangle, a cone, whatever you want to make as a solid starting point for your model. There's also a create polygon tool that allow you to create your own tool, but I'm going to show you why that's dangerous to use. So we're going to go ahead and hop into Maya for us, get rid of our cube from last tutorial, and I'm going to go ahead, turn that off. Okay, so we're going to create polygons, and the fastest way to do this is using your shelf up here. You've got most of your basic shapes up along the first part of the polygon shelf. So you can create, you just click on the shape that you want to make, click and drag, there you go. You've got your shape. So that's creating shapes. Now you'll notice that I created a rectangle using the poly cube. If I want to make a true cube, I hold Shift while I do that, and it'll make a cube that has equal dimensions on every side. So like I said, you can do that. You can do a cone. You can do pyramid, which I've actually never used pyramid. I didn't notice that it makes it off-axis before. Yeah, you've got a lot of stuff, and some things will have different options. Like here, I'm making the poly pipe, I believe it's called. Yep, poly pipe, and it gave me a second draw option. So there's my first one, there's my second one, there's my third one, and I'm just clicking and dragging left to right to do that. And you can see that it made some differences. I didn't actually mean to click that one. So that is how you just throw down a polygon. But something that's important to note is when you're creating these polygons is the properties of the polygons you're creating. In this instance, I've created a sphere that when I go ahead and render it out, that's just, I made a shortcut for this button. So I render it out. It looks really smooth and really great, which is perfectly fine for animation as long as you have a computer that can handle rendering a lot of polygons. But when it comes to scenes with millions and millions of polygons, it's going to be hard to work in, and it's going to be hard to render out in a reasonable amount of time. So you have to look at some of the properties. So, and what I mean by polygons has a lot of polygons, I mean it has a lot of triangles in here. See this tries counter? That's how many tries it is. And if you want that, it's display, heads-up display, poly count for the stuff over in this corner. So you can go ahead and you can go in your channel box and layer editor, select the object, and you'll get the options for the input. This is the node. Try not to use difficult concepts, but this is the node that controls your object. So you have your subdivisions axis and your subdivisions height. So if we just take this and we make this 10, hit enter, we've just made a lot less polygons around it. And then I can say 10 here, and now it's a lot less polygons. And when I render it out, you can see that it's clearly degraded in quality. So it's all about finding a reasonable change between them. Well, actually, what this did is it hardened the normals. So this is what, if you want a real comparison, the difference between the two. So this one is your, let me make them the same size. This one is your low poly one, this one is your high poly one. In a game, you're not going to see that much of a difference because this is going to be moving, jumping around, doing whatever you want. This one is more for animation because you want it to look perfect because that's what people are doing. They're not interacting. So that is creating the properties here that affect these objects. So when I've got this cube here, I can add subdivisions width, height, depth, and I can change the actual length of it. Now, once you manipulate this polygon in another way, using these controls is dangerous and can create unknown results. So just be cautious to set up your polygons when you build them right away instead of saying waiting for later or whatever. Because as soon as I do anything, and you can ignore what I'm doing here, and then I try and change this, weird things start happening. Look at this down here. That's not a good thing. So just be aware that you want to set up your polygon at first. So where I run into this problem is sometimes I'll make like a railing or something, and then I'll realize I have 20 subdivisions and it's got 10,000 polygons. So I want to take it down to 8, but obviously I can't. And then I have to find a way to make it work or start over from scratch. So setting up your polygons is an important thing when you're working in Maya. So the other tool that I was going to show you is the Create Polygon tool, which I believe is in here, Mesh, Create Polygon tool. And the Create Polygon tool, you'll want to use one of your orthogonal views. And if perhaps I'll make a tutorial about how to navigate this stuff. This is just hitting down space in this window and then hitting space in this one. So creating a polygon tool, I have it open now. Looks like that. Mesh, create polygon, or shift right click up. And you can click and you're placing a vertice. Remember what we said in the first video about vertices being able to stand alone? This is just about the only time you're going to see that. If I click here, now we have an edge. A third one, now we have a face. If I go into shaded mode over here, sorry, I didn't mean to click that. If I go into shaded mode, I can see the polygon as it's being built. And then I can do something funky like that. I have no idea what I just made, but I made it. And that is, it looks kind of like a dinosaur head. I don't know. Leave me alone. So the issue with this is, number one, you of course get almost no controls over here. I didn't even know that this control exists, and I don't know what it does. But you almost have no controls, and look at this. If I move one of these vertices, the face no longer is possible because it's a face that is bending. And I should have said this in the first video, but there's no such thing as a curve in a computer. It's a mathematical concept that's being calculated here, but it's actually impossible. So what we have here is something that doesn't make sense. And when we start playing around with this polygon, we can see that it's very easy to start breaking this polygon. See, we don't have an edge here, but we have a face that's colliding over itself. If I go into face mode and select just this one face, it selects the whole object. So be careful when you're doing Create Polygon tool, and I'm going to show you in the next tutorial how you can split that polygon up into a more reasonable polygon shape so that you're not so easily damaging the integrity of your polygon. Well, that's all I have for this tutorial, and I'll see you guys next time.